right? Really be mindful of what's going down in the general market. So like when you're coming in, you know, you've already had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 up days in a row, which is pretty significant. So when you get 5 up days in a row, right now you're gapping up into up day number 6. That makes things really, really tricky because, well, you're not going to be able to get like how much upside do you have? You're going to be kind of peeking into that top of the Bollinger Band. And that makes things a little bit more tricky. So I'd watch and be very wary of like your normal technical analysis plays because like, see, you're touching the top of the Bollinger Band here today and you're overbought. So like this gap is going to take you through. And that's going to be, you know, that's going to make things a little bit dicey. So we've got to go in and really make sure that, you know, we're not chasing anything. On the good side of things, though, like when a day's like this and you get all these kind of gaps, what you can do when the market gaps up like this, focus more on the earnings plays. You know, you can see like there's still a ton of earnings plays, you know, out today. So like you're having, you know, quite a few gaps to the upside and downside, but not based on market conditions, but based on the actual right earnings of some different stocks. You're seeing over here, you got Twilio, VSAL, Etsy, MNK. Boy, there's a lot of them. On the downside, there's quite a few of them. So, you know, that's probably going to be the area of focus. If the NASDAQ itself and the S&P, because they're kind of running a little bit hot, if they come in and they start to reverse, you know, we could take a couple counter trend trades also if we need to. Fuckers, where's that thing? Let's take a look here. So this Twilio is looking really nice today. You've got this thing like busting over the 65 area over here. I think this one's actually going to have a lot of juice because, you know, you've got a breakout to basically, I think it's all-time highs. Yeah, it is. So you got to break out. It's already making all-time highs. You know, you got this level right here. So 71 was its all-time high from 2016. That's, you know, pretty cool. So usually when these things have like a fairly low float, you got 71 million shares, you've got a bust out to all-time highs. That's hot. Like that's what we want to see. Historically, this stock does have a fairly decent range to it. So I will be taking this, like I'll be watching at the open, right? What we need to see is, of course, right, a pop up, either 3 sideways candles and then a go, or, right, the gap up, and then we want to see it flood back either to the 9 or 20 EMA. We need a candle to hold, and we'll start to see it round intraday, and we can take it to the upside. Hey, Merrick, what's going on? What you watching, buddy? And throw me your tickers. What are you guys all watching? That's kind of how we want to play this thing. I think we've got a little bit of potential. We just got to come in and you know, come in and do that. Now let's take a look. MNK. So MNK is probably going to be more of a B-level setup. First of all, the stock just historically doesn't have much range, and it's already been kind of in straight grind mode, which is okay if you're all day. But you know, for the rest of us, we're not into that kind of lifestyle. But for this thing, like, you know, you got a gap to fill here till 30. So you've got probably $2 of potential upside. My worry on this is even though the float's fairly low, like it's just not going to move. It's not going to move that fast. You know, historically, I've just never seen it like really have like big shreds. Part of it is just it's been in such a downtrend, right? You're not going to really have big shreds to the upside if something's been downtrend for, you know, 1, 2, 3, and we're on year 4. I mean, talk about a downtrend, right? Now, since May, it's been trending higher, so that's good. We'll see on this one. I'd give that a B. Etsy's looking actually really good. 118 million share float. This one looks like it's also all-time highs. It is still a, you know, it's not a recent IPO as of like this year, but it's still a newer issue, right? It's a newer issue that's been around only for a few years, and that usually still gives it a little bit extra juice. Got it, Ryan Baba. XLF, boom, boom, boom. Blazing, X-ray. Cool, we'll go over those in a second. So now that this one's over 45, I think this one too, we've got to watch this one out of the gate. You know, it does drop fast. I've seen it a couple times on earnings or news, drop really fast. So like you could see on June, it had a huge gap and it ran hot at the open, and then it just died off. So like be careful. Don't chase it, and make sure that you have a clear-cut pattern intraday, because this thing will die off really, really quickly. You know, we've seen that in the past. And you want to always kind of make sure, like, when stocks are popping, like, what did it do the last time it had a big day? Like, what was the intraday action on it? That can kind of give you a clue, because a lot of times these damn stocks do the same thing over and over and over. So we'll have to keep an eye on that one. This once is actually interesting because, you know, it's breaking its trend line that it's been kind of riding up for a while, but, you know, you've got a lot of airspace down here to maybe about 41. So it's got about $13 more till, you know, it runs into any type of support. So it's got a lot of, you know, it's got some downside to it. The problem with this one's going to be, can anybody know the problem that's going to happen on this one? What do you think? What's the big issue that's going to be going down on this one? Oh, yeah. Yeah, so the big issue I see on this one is, yes, Jacob, it's probably going to be the spread. You know, the float is tiny on this and the price is high. Usually if you get like price is high and float is tiny, you get these gnarly spreads. I think that's going to, you know, that could happen today. So if I don't see volume out of the gate on this and then the spread is high, I'll just take it off the list. The one thing to remember, the secondary problem, what's the secondary problem on this one? Beyond the spread. Because it's gapping down 30%, the SSR is going to be on this thing. So when the SSR is on it and you start to see some level building, this is what happens with SSR. So you start to see a level building at like 50. I'm just hypothetically throwing out a number. And you start to sit there, right? And you're like kind of like just grinding along the 50 like that. And for more than a few minutes, what typically happens, you'll keep thinking it's going to bust lower. But remember, you can't short, nobody can short the, it never kind of creeps lower. People keep, you know, people keep sponging up the buys, right? They keep a floor on it. And then what will happen is somebody just market order like 10,000 shares to the upside, and you'll get this one candle bloop, and then everybody will be covering, and boom, like it'll start coming back, and then it'll fade back under. So that's where you've got to come up with this, is you've got to really make sure, like when the SSR is on, you're going to get this kind of, you know, test of resistance or support, and you'll get really excited, and then it'll be, you know, gone. Hey, Prashant, $20,000. That's a lot of money, man. I mean, $20,000 you can trade with. Now let's take a look at a couple of other ones. So yeah, a bunch of guys mentioned. Okay, a bunch of you guys mentioned X-ray. So X-ray, you know, it looked like it was bottoming for a while, but you could see now, like you kind of cracked these trend lines here. Let's make a little bit of room here. So you're kind of busting down these lows. So the low is 41.83. So you're at $40 right now. If you're looking at the weekly, you can see like it's got definitely some room to run. You know, we're breaking down levels that we haven't been to since kind of 2014. That's pretty good, right? So it's got, this one could have some legs on it. My worry on this one would be that a couple things. I personally haven't traded this one in quite some time, so I don't know exactly how it moves. If it's a fast mover, slow mover, you know, whatever. It looks like it's going to have more than enough liquidity and, you know, kind of shares to be able to get in and out of that. That'd be kind of my worry on this one is, you know, I personally haven't traded it before, which is rare. I mean, I've almost traded. There's almost not a stock in the world I haven't traded at some point. So that always gets me a little bit freaked out. And then, you know, this Omni is also kind of looking like it's got potential here. My worry on this one is it's not having much liquidity yet. So we'll have to kind of keep an eye on that one. A couple others that I'm watching here. This Twitter is starting to round here. Normally, like when I see something come down like this and it goes down, you know, normally they turn into bear flags, but, you know, recently Facebook kind of gapped down and it started this rounding process and it remounted some of its resistance points. You know, we may see Twitter get supported here. This happens a lot in big cap tech where, you know, you have some nasty earnings and it gets really cheap and then people decide they don't really care and then they come and scoop it back up. So that's going to be something just to kind of keep an eye on. SQ still on the list, right? We're looking for a bust over here. Look, with the market gapping, these are normal technical analysis plays we'll be staying away from at the open because of the market gap. We'll have to wait for a pullback, right? Because of the market gap, we're going to stick with the earnings plays. But later on in the day, you know, keep Sono, some of these names on your list. It's ICPT. Damn, you know, we were talking about this yesterday in pre-market, and we fucking forgot about it. That was my bad. You know, yesterday we didn't have shit to play, and there were some easy ones that we had on our list that we just kind of forgot. So I've got to be mindful of that too. And this grub is really starting to kind of come loose here. You know, I'm still thinking this thing gets back into the 140s. I'd keep this one on the list. It's got a good enough range. And then this DocuSign looks ready to go now. I like this one quite a bit. You can see this one's got just a nice overall pattern. It's an IPO stock that's actually held up. Good enough intraday range, always $3-4. I think this one's got a chance. I'd keep this one on the list. I'll be watching this one today out of the gate. All right, my friends, it's time. It's game time. It's show time. It's time to do what we got to do. All right, as always, put your favorites on your 6-window layout. Right? Transfer them over. You got any favorites? You got to make sure you're always watching the right ones. We don't want to be like yesterday. Yesterday, we thought the day was slow. And then there was a whole host of stocks that we were watching that were on our damn list that went and, you know, we didn't even play them. You know, we were gone. So always add in your 6 favorites. You know, you could do more, of course, but I typically don't trade well when I'm watching more than 6. So 6 is usually my kind of sweet spot on this. Take me home. All right. As always, it's been real. It's been fun. Let's go do what we do. It's game time. We've got to start trading. It's money time.